a system approaching perfection.
We'll walk deeper into the belly of the beast if it means I'm able to further limit.
All right, welcome back to the Crypto Show's Digital Cash Evolution. So today we have a great guest, and this guest will give us, I guess, for new users, a way to learn how to use crypto and actually see it used in real life, which is always a really good thing. So we're talking with Jeff Klee, who is the CEO of CheapAir.com. And this is the service that I actually use to book all my flights and hotels and stuff. And the reason I do it is because of cryptocurrency. But, you know, Jeff actually got started much earlier than that. Go take it.
Yeah, so I was reading a little bit online on Wikipedia. It says that you started CheapAir.com way back in 1989 in your Michigan dorm room. Can you tell us about the story there and how you got to where you are?
I'm dating myself. The company actually, I started pre-internet when I was in college. Initially, it was just kind of, I was putting together spring break trips. And then when I graduated college, I started playing around with selling some discount airline tickets to Europe, kind of while I tried to figure out what I really want to do with my life. And then the internet came along, and I was always, writing code was a hobby of mine. But at that point, we were combining two things that I really liked, the travel aspect and then the technology aspect of it. So I think that's when I became hooked, and it became a permanent thing.
Nice. So how did you get started with the CheapAir? Did you start, I think it came up as 1-800-CHEAP-AIR at first?
So when
it was just a booking agency, or?
When we started in business, it was pre-internet. And in fact, I remember some of our early advertisements, shows you my age. We were advertising order airline tickets without leaving your home. We would, it was a call center business. You'd call us on an 800 number, and we would FedEx you paper tickets. And, we thought that was so innovative at the time.
Oh, wow. That's great. So now fast forward almost 30 years, we're coming up on, your 30-year anniversary of the company starting, right? You have since integrated cryptocurrency, one of the latest technologies that's happening in our world. And I'm curious how that's come about. Like what led you to make this decision? And the CheapAir has been very close to me since I'm a very big Dash fan myself. And I've only used it a few times since then, but it was a great experience every time I've used it. So I want to thank you for that. But I am curious, like, how technologically, how organizationally, from a product perspective, how does cryptocurrency fit in, and why did you decide to add it?
Yeah, so we added it, relatively early on in 2013, and to be honest, it was more dumb luck than anything how we kind of stumbled upon it. I had at that point, I was familiar with Bitcoin, kind of marginally. I had read about it. I was always fascinated by it, but I never connected it to anything I was doing business-wise. And then one day I got one of our customer service managers came to me and said, hey, we had a customer asking if they could pay for their ticket in Bitcoin. And that got me thinking, like, well, God, that would be something kind of cool. And, I don't know anyone else doing that. I wonder if it would be practical to accept Bitcoin. So we did some research. We got connected to Coinbase and found that it would actually be pretty easy for us to start accepting crypto. So we did it. We built it, really in a couple days. It wasn't a difficult integration. And with really low expectations. To be honest, I thought it was kind of something pretty gimmicky, but maybe there'll be a few people out there who would like it. But since that time, it's definitely grown for us. It's become we've been kind of accumulating more and more crypto customers. These are good customers who we really appreciate. People who have been incredibly loyal to us and incredibly supportive. So we've gotten kind of deeper and deeper into it since that time, and now it's a reasonably big part of our business.
Right on. So it wasn't too long ago that you actually switched away from Coinbase, isn't that right? To a new payment provider. I wasn't sure if you'd be willing to share like how that came about and what made you decide to maybe go to the next level or switch providers in that way.
Yeah, sure. I got a call from someone at Coinbase around, I think it was around March, and they kind of dropped a bombshell. We'd been using Coinbase since the beginning, and they said they've decided they're shutting down their merchant platform. They've since added this Coinbase Commerce alternative platform, which is a very different. So the way it worked. The old Coinbase, the legacy merchant platform was that a customer would pay in Bitcoin, and now we have to, as soon as someone pays us, we have to pay the airlines or the hotel, and of course they're not taking crypto, unfortunately, so
Right.
we have to pay them in dollars. So part of our process has always been to convert most of what we get into dollars, so we can pay our suppliers. So
Mhm.
Coinbase had a real turnkey solution that kind of automatically took care of all that for us. But suddenly they were getting out of that. The Coinbase Commerce platform is different. It's non-custodial. They just, they'll give you the crypto, but they won't do anything with it from there. So that didn't help us. That didn't get us all the way where we needed to go. So we were kind of at a crossroads where, suddenly we had to figure out what are we going to do now. We've got to kind of start over from scratch, and how we're going to, if we want to keep accepting crypto, we got to figure out a new way to do it. So that started a pretty long process of researching other processors. We got a lot of really good feedback from our customers and the Bitcoin community. And so we ended up going with BTC Pay Server, which is an open source solution. So we're not using or dependent on a processor at all anymore, which basically will facilitate the payment page, accepting the crypto, and pretty much delivering it to our wallet, and then we take it from there. And so we've also built some processes on the back end to, as we need to send the crypto to an exchange, convert it to dollars, and then do what we need to do with it from there.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like in your build versus buy kind of decision making, one thing that I picked up on there was that it sounds like the community was engaged quite a bit. Did you reach out, or did you tweet out, or was there?
Yeah. So I at one point we were when we first got the news and we were evaluating options. The kind of the logical choice was to use BitPay. They're the other major player in that merchant space.
Mm-hmm.
But what I had in reading about BitPay, I was trying to do some research. Do customers like it? And when we came across this issue with the BIP70 wallets, which BitPay requires, and basically it means that you have to have a certain type of wallet to be able to use.
Right. That would exclude a certain percentage of crypto users. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that was a big concern to me because we didn't want to be basically picking and choosing what wallets our customers could have. So yeah, we I had written an email that we sent out to all of our customers who had ever bought before with crypto, and I think we also put it on Twitter, just kind of asking for feedback and asking for suggestions. And I was overwhelmed with the response. I couldn't keep up with it. I as much as I wanted to reply to every single one of them, I couldn't. There were hundreds of people wrote back with their opinions and suggestions, and the opinions were all over the map. But that's actually how I got introduced to BTC Pay Server. I never heard of it before, but multiple people said, "Hey, you should check this out," and we did, and ultimately that proved to be a really good solution.
That's great. Yeah, that's something I hadn't heard about until just now, and I am interested in looking into that because I know there are many merchants who want to get into the cryptocurrency space, and I don't know how much dealing you've had with the community in that way, but one thing I have discovered is the crypto community is very enthusiastic. If you ask them questions, they are typically very techno savvy and have a lot of knowledge about their environment. So I think it's great that you were able to land on this. And then again, on the build versus buy kind of decision, you decided to build some portion of it. How long would you say? It sounds like it didn't take very long to get the remaining pieces of the processing piece. Once you had the BTC Pay server up and running, you built the rest in-house and closed up the loop on your processes, it sounds like. Is that right?
Yeah, the BTC Pay server, those guys did a really good job. It was pretty turnkey. You deploy, they have a kind of a deployment script where you can deploy it to an Azure instance. But even if you've never used Azure before, they kind of lay it all out for you. It's pretty easy. For us, the bigger challenge was, okay, now we're getting crypto, but we need to convert it to dollars to pay the suppliers. So that took a little bit of work to get that process automated. The whole thing took us about a month. It wasn't, full time. Our development team was working on a lot of other things at the same time. But it took us about a month to get it right. But now we feel like we're in a much better spot than we were before any of this happened. And when I first heard the news, it was pretty devastating. It's like, oh, now we got to figure out from scratch, how we're gonna solve this. It's gonna take a lot of time. We're gonna be, building a bunch of stuff just to get us back to where we were.
Right, just to reach parity.
Yeah, but in hindsight now, we're better off in a number of ways. So I'm actually happy that this all happened.
Do you have any idea what percentage of your customers are actually using crypto? And, when you open up the pay page on CheapAir.com, you see all the methods of payment. So do people who don't know anything about crypto ever contact you and want to know what is this new form of payment?
Yeah. From a percentage standpoint, it's it's less than 10% of our business, but it's good business from the standpoint that, I mentioned this earlier, the crypto customers are really loyal. And this is a tough business to generate loyalty. It's the travel business is notorious for, someone will buy from you once, but they're still going to shop around 10 times, 10 different sites the next time,
right.
To look for if someone beats you by $1, they'll go somewhere else. And the crypto community, they tend to travel more and they tend to be more loyal. We have, within the rest of our business, we have a lot of customers who, they only travel once every 2 or 3 years. They're not road warriors. That hadn't been like our bread and butter type of customer. But we're seeing with crypto where we have more people who travel frequently and more people who fly in premium cabins, like, business class or first class. So which of course is better for us. So there's a lot we like about the crypto business that we're getting.
I often pay more at your site just because you take crypto. It's not really a big difference. Sometimes I'll go to, I think Cheap Tickets is one. But being able to spend crypto, I don't really care. So I come back to you anyway.
Right. Well, it looks like about 30 seconds here before we have to go to the break. But when we come back, I just wanted to maybe talk a little bit about, I would be remiss if I didn't ask a little bit about, were you able to deal with Dash Core Group at all? Did you talk with them about any opportunities that they may have had to, help with the integration of Dash into the service? Maybe give that a minute and we'll come back from the break and ask a quick question about that.
And welcome back to the Crypto Show's Digital Cash Evolution. And please thank our sponsors, Dash.org, that make it possible for us to come live on the radio. And also, check out things like CheapAir, Purse.io. Going forward in our show, we're really going to try to display that all of these different services that Bitcoin has out there, cryptocurrencies have, that make it useful, that make the average user say, well, why should I use it? Well, here's a perfect example. CheapAir, Purse.io, all the different wallets and stuff that are out there. So,
Right. And I want to give a special shout out to all the Masternode owners out there who do continue to support this program. I want to thank them and thank the Dash community for, basically being able to produce content like this. I think it's a wonderful way to get in touch with people like Jeff Klee, who's the CEO of CheapAir, and has graciously granted some time today to talk about that. So speaking of Dash Core Group, I wonder if there was any opportunity that you had, Jeff, to work with Dash Core on the integration of cryptocurrencies, or, how did that come about, the actual implementation?
Yeah, so we started, particularly in the last, say, 6 months, getting more and more interest in other forms of cryptocurrency besides Bitcoin, and Dash probably more so than any others. We've got a lot of people reach out to us, asking if we could take Dash. So we did start doing some research into that. What we ended up doing for the other cryptocurrencies that we take, which is Litecoin Dash and Bitcoin Cash, we started using GoCoin as a processor. I'm not sure how many people have heard of them, but they're a company based here in LA. They've been great to work with. We're real happy with that. So anyone paying with those cryptos goes through GoCoin. We did have some conversations with the Dash group early on, but then we kind of jointly decided that GoCoin would be a good option to facilitate that. They had already built up a lot of infrastructure. So by going through them as opposed to doing some sort of or some one-off direct integration, we went with GoCoin.
Perfect. So yeah, it sounds like you kind of piecemealed a working solution together for you that is assisting in your processes and isn't too much of a hindrance for your software teams. So what's next going forward? It sounds like you have loyal customers in the crypto space. Do you have some strategic plans to grow in that space, or what does the next few years look like for CheapAir and crypto?
I mean, we definitely want to be responsive to, kind of whatever comes next in the marketplace. We're interested in the Lightning Network. I can't say I'm an expert on that at this point, but there are some issues with Bitcoin transactions. It's not a perfect system, and Lightning sounds like it might be able to address some of those. But also, we've really decided to double down on this segment of our business. And so we've done a lot on the support side. We now have a dedicated support team just for crypto people who really know. One of the frustrations at times is when someone, I think you mentioned it, crypto users tend to be very savvy and very technical. And if they need help and they're talking to someone who might be a really good travel advisor, but doesn't really know the ins and outs of digital currency, it could be frustrating for that customer. So we now have a dedicated group of support advisors who do know crypto and who could be helpful when any sort of issue arises. We have a dedicated phone number for them. So we're really trying to close a few of the holes. I mean, there are some occasional problems with when a transaction will come in and it's overpaid or underpaid, and how do we handle those? And that's one of the things that we've since we've been on BTC Pay Server as opposed to Coinbase, we've had a lot more control over how we handle those, and it's led to a much better customer experience. Once in a while, a payment will come in and it'll be like $1.50 short, just maybe because of some weird fluctuation in the currency, and so Coinbase would kick those back and we'd have to kind of manually deal with them. We wouldn't find out about them sometimes for an hour or two. So now, we could build in our own logic that's, if it's that close, we're just going to, process the sale and things like that. We've really tightened up and I think our process has gotten better. We're able to deliver refunds more quickly now. So we're just trying to make the experience as good as we can for people who want to pay with crypto.
I've dealt with that myself, and it was very quick. I sent the payment, and it was a little bit short, and within just a few seconds, it generated another code and said that I needed to pay that balance. And I was able to make the 2 transactions in less time than it took me to enter all my credit card information.
That's great. Yeah.
And no one, I'm not sharing my credit card information. It's definitely a different feeling with crypto when you're not just opening up all of your credit information to some website.
Yeah, that's great. And I was actually able to find a great deal on a flight from Colorado Springs to San Francisco or San Diego not too long ago. It was a great round trip, and it beat the airline's home site. So I don't know what kind of backroom deals you guys are making, but I think that's incredible that you guys are able to beat some of their publicized sites on their own, or the publicized prices on their own site. So it sounds like you guys are in from a software perspective, which is kind of my background. It sounds like you guys are very much moving into maintenance mode and kind of refining processes and focusing on performance issues and things like that. Not a whole lot of necessarily new things to discover, but more things maybe to uncover in this user base by focusing on these experience processes. What does that look like for you now? Are you building up a UX team? Are you looking at designers? Are you hiring in that space, or you just have a group that's kind of focusing and pivoting?
Well, I mean, yeah, we have a team of designers, we have a team of developers, and we're also constantly trying to enhance the overall product. Things that have nothing to do with the form of payment. I mean, it's a constant challenge. The airlines are always changing how they sell their products. One of the big changes, you have so many more options when you buy a flight now than it used to be that an airline seat was pretty much a commodity, but now airlines have 4 different prices each, and if you buy the lowest fare, you don't get this or this. If you pay a little bit more, you get this. Different planes have different amenities between Wi-Fi and live TV and in-flight entertainment. We've tried to do a lot, and we're continuing that effort to make it really clear what you're getting, and to be able to compare different fare and flight options much more easily than you can on most of our competitors.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was really curious about was how do you guys collect which planes have which amenities and which planes are assigned to which flights? How do you get all that information into your system in a way that can be leveraged by those end users?
Yeah, that's a pretty brutal process, to be honest, because there aren't any central databases that have at least the level of detail that we want to display. So we use multiple sources, but a lot of it is manual. I mean, we have people on our team who are kind of curating airline and plane data, and we do use some other databases. We subscribe to some systems, but they tend to give us kind of the bare minimum. So we've decided that to really be able to differentiate, we want to augment that data. Now we're still at this point, to be honest, we've done a much better job within the North American market. I think the U.S. carriers, we've got a lot of really great data that we curate. Some of the international airlines we're still working on improving. And we have some kind of minimum level of coverage for every airline in the world, but we go a lot deeper on the U.S. airline.
Yeah. I think, and I really want to encourage you to continue to do that, because I know that companies that invest in doing the legwork of being able to, have a database or have data that is specifically so that end users can leverage it and filter down and get right down to the, I want this with Wi-Fi from here to there, having all of that filterability at that level is, I think, going to keep you guys ahead of the game. And I would really encourage you to focus on that and enhance that as much as I could, as both an end user and a software development consultant.
No, I agree with you, and we're working hard at it.
Perfect.
Are there any plans for any type of rewards or anything like that for crypto users in the future? I know we have things like rewards.com and all these. Is there any way of integrating things like that into your site?
Yeah, there are no immediate plans. We have talked to some companies like that, so we're open to it. But I can't say there's anything that's imminent there.
Perfect. Well, we got just a minute left before we have to wrap up. I do want to thank you very much, Jeff, for coming on. Jeff Klee, CEO of CheapAir.com, here with Chuck Williams and Danny.
Yeah. Definitely go and check out CheapAir.com, check out dash.org. Please go to thecryptoshow.com and check out all of our Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. Geez, I don't know what all we have there. YouTube, SoundCloud, all of that stuff. Go check that out. And you can also find us on letstalkbitcoin.com, which is a great place to go to find a lot of good crypto information about all types of cryptos.
Absolutely.
I guess we'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot for having me.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff.